We are back from quite a mighty adventure.
It was a great time.
We did some things we've never done before. Mm-hmm. We went way outside of our comfort zone.
Absolutely. We got into a boat with 4 other people and
3 other people.
Oh, sorry.
Wait, did you bring your invisible friend again?
Oh my God. I'm always being corrected. I don't know. Let me see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 other people. Well, 3 other people. Sorry. Not 5 counting us. Anyway.
We took a river cruise on the River Shannon. How about, do you want to tell everybody how it started back about 6 months ago?
Yeah, about 6 months ago, one of our neighbors came up and was visiting. And then as he was leaving, he said, would you guys be interested in maybe taking a cruise on the Shannon this summer when you come for 5 days? And I said, geez, I'll talk to Corey about it and we'll think about it. And as long as you don't have visitors at that time, we would. And so we decided yes. And
let me tell you this, we didn't know anything about what we were getting into. No. I mean, we know the River Shannon. We didn't know what kind of boat it was going to be. We didn't know the sleeping arrangements. No. We didn't actually know this neighbor that well. I mean, we know him well enough.
Oh, yeah,
but
yeah. No,
not a 5-day vacation know him kind of thing.
Yeah.
And we had no idea who else would be on the boat.
Right. And so we just threw caution to the wind and say it's either going to be 5 days of hell or it's going to be fantastic or it's going to be, where's the next pub?
And in the end, it was really fantastic. Our worries were, well, not necessary, but you just never know what you're getting into.
You don't know. I mean, you're in a boat the size of a...
Well, we didn't know what size of boat we were going to be in.
I guess we didn't.
So it ended up, we saw some beautiful sights, some beautiful flowering containers.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, some of the towns they go all out with the flowers over the pubs and over the shops, and really beautiful. I don't know how they do it. Well, the climate is perfect though for flowers here. As you can tell, it's misty now. In another hour, it could be bright sun and warm, and then it can get misty again. So it is this is the perfect country for roses. I'll tell you. If you ever want to grow prize-winning roses, this is the country.
I don't know how. The
British Isles.
They might not get much sun, but boy, it's incredible. Yeah. So let's talk about the Shannon River, because the Shannon River is not only the biggest river in Ireland, it's also the biggest river in the British Isles.
Right.
So it is big. It's on the earliest maps from the region as well. So it has been a major waterway and a strategic standpoint for Ireland since the beginning of time.
Right.
And we have seen the Shannon so many times. There were so many times when we'd be driving through places like Portumna or when we were at Clonmacnoise. I have a photo from 2007. We were at Clonmacnoise and I was taking pictures of the river and the boats on the river. And I remember back then thinking, man, I would love to go on one of those boats.
Yeah, and see Clonmacnoise from the river as opposed to from the shore, because it's a really historic site, and it's like seeing it for the first time. Well, I mean, it's just a different vision of it, a version of it, I should say. Just beautiful.
Yeah, so it was really nice to be able to get out there and actually experience. So we drove up to Carrick-on-Shannon, which is a bit of a drive away.
Yeah, it's heading quite about 2.5 hours, I think.
Something like that. Yeah. And Carrick-on-Shannon is, if I had been there, I don't remember it, and it is a cute town.
Yeah, no, I'd never been there before. And the reason I know that is because of the chapel, the small little chapel.
Oh, yeah.
That I'd heard about.
So tell them what the streets are like.
It was described to me as a bit chocolate box, which is, I mean, I think it's complimentary, but you know what I mean. It's just beautiful.
It's that quintessential Irish small town kind of thing.
Movie sets.
Yeah, and lots of great pubs and restaurants. Yeah, it does look like a movie set, and holy smokes, they are taking care of that place. We were out for a walk, and they have this really nice biodiversity garden, which I loved walking through.
I thought it was very cool. They had like little tunnels made out of willow that had arched over, and the poppies. That's another thing about this country. Fantastic for poppies. There's some beautiful, beautiful poppies.
Yeah, and the biodiversity garden, I like that we were walking through and they were kind of showing kind of what a native little patch of plants that you could put in your yard would be. So it had hawthorn and I can't remember all the other ones, but it was, I don't know, I really liked how it was partly educational, but also beautiful gardens. Yeah. And we were out there and there was actually a woman out there scrubbing the garbage cans. Now, I think...
Where does that happen?
I think part of it was Tidy Towns judging was going on. Ireland has this program to kind of improve your community with Tidy Towns, and the judging was happening.
Yeah, I think there's Irish competitions and there's European competitions. And we see it all summer. You'll pull into a village and all of a sudden you'll see like little fairy gardens and lots of flowers and maybe old farm equipment by the entrance into the town. And it's really, I think it's a great community thing. I wish I'd see more of that. back home.
Yeah, definitely a sense of pride of place.
Absolutely.
And it encourages flowers too. That's the other thing. So that's part of the reason why I think a lot of these Irish villages and towns spend a little extra time. It's a community builder, and it's built around, education and beautiful plants. So hats off to everybody who does tidy towns. It's a lot of work, but it's so worth it, especially for tourists coming in.
Right. I wish they do tidy yards. We'd lose. But the point is, we're trying.
we get the effort award.
Tidy yards. I'm going to start that. Tidy yards.
I have a bee. Look at that bee kind of flying around. Bees are happy right now.
I know. I've got a hive back here I didn't tell you about.
Oh, geez. Okay, so tell them about the boat.
Okay, so the boat was bigger than I thought. Bigger than we all thought. There was like 2 cabins in the back, a cabin in the front.
Yeah.
Then there's a kitchen, and then kind of a lounge area in the middle. And so I was kind of under the assumption that we were going to go onto the boat and kind of just lay around and look out the windows and watch the
We were
world
the
go by.
passengers, waving to all the people.
Yeah, but ended up, our neighbor was really also instructed us for 5 days, because they come over to instruct us on the boat, the young guy we have to go out, do a circle 8. Well, he takes us out, does a circle 8. First thing he does is this was supposed to be some kind of a training session, and we had a lot of training on how to flush the toilet. That was the main thing, and some kind of a weird pumper thing. It was
very different from when we had a motorhome.
It was awful. Anyway, never used that way anyway. But then he takes us out, does a circle 8, and then puts the boat back into the berth, and first thing he does is bang into the boat next to us.
Like caught the anchor and it fell in. And and we're not experienced on the water at all.
Oh my God.
So those of you who have boats and things like that.
Yeah,
but we were thinking like, oh my God, you can't touch anything. Like, be careful. It's like a car.
He hit the boat next to us, and this woman, I found out later she was Swiss, and she was swearing at us in Swiss, which, by the way, is like French. It's very beautiful, but even swearing sounded beautiful. I mean, she was angry in the face, but the words coming out of her mouth were stunning. Stunning, you know what I mean? But anyway, we get out there, and there's a bridge right there. And our friend says, "Okay, Liam, take over. Go through that archway."
And we were going downstream, which meant we had the right of way in a tunnel.
Right.
However, there was an oncoming boat so renting a boat, they advertise it as no experience necessary, no license necessary. I wouldn't do it if I didn't have somebody who knew what they were doing to kind of help explain things. Because there's so many little things. First of all, you get your Bible, which is the giant map.
Yeah, which you can't read if you don't know. I mean, it's not like a road map. I mean, it is like a maritime road map, but it ain't a car
Once you figure it out, it's not hard to read at all, as long as you can find the markers along the way.
As long as you can find the markers along the way.
Which was a problem. Anyway, you were getting back to that bridge.
Anyway,
and the oncoming
our
traffic.
friend told us to go through there, but this boat was coming through, and I had to all of a sudden at the last minute switch. I didn't think it was going to be driving us at all. Switch and go through the other archway of the bridge.
The smaller one.
I don't know about a lot. Wait a minute.
First time ever.
A lot of people don't realize this, and I'm going to give you a hot tip. If any of you aren't boaters, they don't have brakes. They don't have brakes. Like, I don't think anybody should be on the water in something that doesn't have brakes. And so
They have reverse, Liam.
That's not a brake. That's not a brake. To me, a brake.
You can't stop.
To me, a brake is you push your foot down on something that stops the vehicle,
it stops you in space and time.
Or you just head into a pylon or something to stop it. And I saw a couple of the front of the boats in the marina, and some people have stopped them by the pylons.
But in the end, all of us did a great job driving.
Oh my God! I went through many bridges. We had 5 locks, which I didn't even know we had to go through a lock. You know what I mean? And that's fascinating.
Yeah, you do really get to understand how the locks work. And we'd be familiar with locks, but being in the boat.
Not driving one.
And even like when you're mooring, when you're throwing the ropes, because that's the other thing we have to do is throw these ropes across.
Yeah.
When you throw the ropes, when you're mooring, you throw the whole rope out. But if you're in the lock, you have to hold on to your end because you have to keep holding on as the water goes up in the lock. And then as it goes down, you kind of jump.
And it was hard. Corey was dressed like Jack Sparrow. He was dressed like that. He got his full pirate outfit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you kind of look like the skipper from Gilligan's Island.
Ooh, that's a comment on my weight.
It was not. It's the first seafaring person I could think of.
What about the professor? That would have been one.
He didn't drive the boat.
Jeez, a lot of these people don't even know who Gilligan from Gilligan's Island was. But anyway, so we digress. Go forward.
Oh, well, it was beautiful. We had such great weather. It was hot on Friday when we got into Carrick-on-Shannon.
Unbelievably hot in Ireland. I mean, I've been to Ireland for years now, and that was a hot day. That was an American hot day.
Yeah, it was over 80 degrees. Now, I know for those of you in hot climates, you're going 80 degrees would be welcome.
But it's also very high. The sun is, so you're close to the sun. Ireland's parallel with Alaska, so the sun is really intense, put it that way.
And a good amount of humidity as well. And we've been used to temperatures in the 50s and 60s.
Yeah.
So,
like today.
Yeah.
It's like,
we totally become like Irish weather-bound people when we're here for any amount of time.
Yeah, I'd say so.
But we just saw so much. There's animals along the way, so tons of swans.
Oh, beautiful. Like everywhere, swans everywhere. And I didn't know swans mate for life. There was 2 together all the time. It was really nice.
And we saw the little cygnets swimming around.
Yeah.
And then, animals on the shore, like we saw mostly cows, some horses. So it was just really beautiful.
Yeah.
And seeing the Shannon from a different perspective was so nice. But I didn't realize, I knew this, but you know how, I don't know, you just don't realize until you're there. You're going down this river and it's really, really quite nice, but it also opens up into a number of lakes or locks.
Yeah.
And locks, not locks like locks. It's L-O-G-H. Yeah, they spell lake differently. And so like Loch Ree we came into, that was a wide lake.
It's very wide, but it's funny because, say back in Michigan, a lake, you kind of know that pretty much the side is shallow, and as you get into the middle, it's deeper. But with the Shannon, which because it's a river, you could be in the middle of it, and it could be shallower than what's on the side.
Yeah.
And so you have to really follow these markers, these green and red markers, and some of them you have to have binoculars. And God help you if it was foggy, I would just drop anchor.
Also, because it was so wide and it was windy, the day we went across and the day we came back, it was enough to. We didn't necessarily get seasick, but I can see where if it got any more choppy, we would have been a little seasick on there. But on the river, you don't have that problem at all.
No. But we had a great captain, and not Sparrow, the real captain.
And I think my highlight really was seeing Clonmacnoise, which is a monastic ruin, very notable one in Ireland, from the river. It's such a different perspective of something that I was familiar with.
Yeah.
And I really did love getting to go past it. And we kind of pushed ourselves a little bit farther along so that we could see it. We would have had a great time if we would have just maybe stopped at more towns and pubs along the way.
Well, that was my
shops.
highlight. My highlight was some of the pubs we stopped at. It was really big. There's one that I wanted to take and move it to my house. It was beautiful.
They really did a nice job in there.
Yeah. No, stopping some of the pubs and we got 99s, which are ice cream cones here in Ireland, which are, he'll show a picture of them. They're not 99 cents. I think when they came out originally, they might have been not 99 pence, but now they're 2 something, but they're really, really good, really, really good.
And we did end up, more for the night at one of the marinas, and there's public marinas all over the place. So in the price of the boat, we got our, the marina and the fuel and all that kind of stuff. Right. And the facilities varied though from place to place. Like they all had toilets and most of them had showers, but it kind of varied in how. Just
like back home, you go to RV parks, a park, you could have a really, really nice toilet, so that you could have some not so nice, and they were okay. I mean, you couldn't wait to get in and get out of it that way.
So if you're fussy about that kind of stuff, you may be doing your bathing and toileting on the boat.
Yeah, we could shower on the boat, but it was one of those where you shower and everything goes everywhere. The water goes all over the sink and the toilet and everything. So that's why it's just an easier option to go to the showers at the facilities or the facilities at the marina.
Yeah, and I would say we were really lucky with the people we went with. Our neighbor Tony had invited some people who live like the next valley over.
Yeah.
They're from South Africa and they've been living in Ireland for the last 3 years.
3 years.
And Rowena and David were great.
Great people, really enjoyed.
We were really lucky to have them kind of on our boat because they also were really interested in some of the history. They were interested in learning how to drive the boat. All
we all drove it. We all had to. I mean, that was one thing that was great. There was no stepping back and saying, no, I'm just going to sit here and what I mean, and just relax. It was, we had to actually work. And it was, I think that was the best part. If we had known that, I still would have gone, but I would have been a little more vocal about, I'm not driving this thing, especially when there's no brakes. But the fact is,
Yeah. I think the hardest thing is getting into the berths, when you pull in. Like that can be a little
I thought you were
I did. I was the only one who really didn't pull into one.
I think Oh yeah, I don't know.
I might have been.
I don't know, but
I did do a lock. I did do a couple bridges. But.
Yeah, and I did some bridges, and I definitely did the pull in, and it's an interesting thing because you can't reduce speed. You have less control when you're going slow, but when you're coming into a berth, you want to like kind of slow up automatically, and then all of a sudden you have to put it into neutral, turn the wheel, and then let it coast into the berth. Well, that's fine if there's nobody else there, but if you've got boats next to you, you're going to slide right into them.
Yeah, we did have a couple of mishaps. Like we were not the perfect boat on the river.
What did we do?
Well, we just had those moments where we had people.
Oh, here we go.
It's the only time somebody was kind of like,
Yeah,
definitely not happy with us.
and this person yelled, "Next year, rent a car," and I'm going like, "What?"
I will say that when I talk about how beautiful those containers were in Carrick-on-Shannon and some of the other spots, I was paying attention to like, how do they get these things so huge? I mean, they were just so full and so overflowing. It ends up like above the pubs and stuff. Those are on drip irrigation, and they get their water in the morning. And they water them basically until it drips out, and then they are getting fertilizer. But I wasn't able to talk to somebody who really was the person in charge of fertilizer. So
that's because you wouldn't go into the pubs I wanted to go into. You could have asked the publican right there.
Yeah, like the person pouring the drinks is also feeding the plants.
Well, probably.
When I did ask it, they didn't.
Well,
know.
while you were finding the person who was feeding the plants, I could be sitting down enjoying a Smittix or a whiskey.
I suppose. But it was nice. Tell me about that chapel.
Oh, the chapel. There's this chapel. I had heard about this years ago, and I've seen pictures of it. I didn't know where it was. But there's this man. Corey will have to show you the names. I don't remember the names. But he loved his wife so much, and she passed. And he was so distraught that he built this little chapel. It's the second smallest chapel in the world or something like that. And it's in the middle of town. It's between two big buildings. So you'd think he could have found a nice place out in the field somewhere, but it's right between these two buildings and big metal doors. And you go in, and there's the altar in front of you, and then on this side is under glass is his wife's coffin, and then on the left hand side is the wife, and on the right hand side is his coffin, and they're covered in glass, but you can see they're collapsing. I think you got some pictures. It was pretty. Mm-hmm. It was, boy, the love that this man had for his wife was phenomenal. And her picture is there, and then it's just a really, it's not creepy. It was just quaint and beautiful, I thought.
And I think part of the reason why it's still in such good condition is because it was in town, it's been maintained. And the tiles on the floor, I don't know if you saw, were the Stations of the Cross.
Yeah, in those beautiful Victorian tiles, which I love those Victorian tiles. You can get those again now, by the way. See, I'm more about that. You know what I mean? He's about looking at the plants.
Hey, do you blame me? And also, I'm trying to think if there's more. I mean, it was just, we had such great weather. We had a hot day on Friday. Yeah. It was very nice on Saturday for the most part. We might get a little rain in the morning, but we were so lucky with the weather.
It was the perfect, like a day like today would have been great too, because it's such a different experience, but our weather was ideal. And
should we tell them some of the origin stories of the Shannon?
Yeah.
So one of the stories is that it started because up in the north of Ireland, there was this vicious worm, and people had to feed him cattle and pigs and things like that to appease him. So kind of one of those like dragon stories. But this was a giant worm. And when he heard that St. Patrick was coming, he started making his escape. And on his escape, he had carved out the Shannon River. Now, there is a little bit of historical issue here because the Shannon River appeared on maps before St. Patrick was born, but history is just a funny thing that way.
Could you come up with better than a worm?
Well, they do. Well, like a worm? There was the sea creature. You know the story of the sea creature in the.
Well, that's a better one.
Go ahead and tell it.
I don't remember.
The Kata.
Oh, the Kata. The Kata was like kind of like a Loch Ness monster. He had claws. He had the.
I'll read. This is how they described it.
Would you like to tell him about it? Oh, here, let me tell you.
I want to get the words. No. I want to get the words right because they're very specific.
You're a better storyteller.
The Kata had the horse's mane, glaring eyes, thick feet, nails of iron, and a whale's tail.
Wasn't I just about to say that?
I think you may not have had those iron claws in there.
I said, did I not say claws?
Iron claws.
Okay.
But he was pretty vicious.
Yes, he was. That's better than a worm. A worm is kind of like what.
Do you remember how he was defeated, though?
The worm or the dragon?
The dragon.
Well,
the sea creature, the Kata.
He was driving a boat and there were no brakes, and he crashed into a pier. I don't know. I don't remember.
There was a saint in Clare who had defeated him. And so that's very common in Ireland, that they'd have this mythology from, way, way back. And that's how Christianity took hold. They kind of combined some of the Christian faith so that this saint basically saved everyone by banishing this creature. And it attracted people to the Christian faith, so rather than some of the other times in history when there was like inquisitions and people were forced into it, it was much more of
it was easier to transition because, like, for example, you see the Celtic cross, the Christian cross with the circle behind it. Well, that's where the blend of Christianity and Druidic beliefs, which is worshiping the sun and rocks and trees and such. And so that's why Christianity flourished, really, because they didn't say, what you're worshiping is wrong. They just said, you've got half of the story, we're giving you the other half. And that's why it flourished. Mm-hmm.
And it also meant that the Irish Christian church was not necessarily in line with
Rome.
Yeah, with Rome. And so there was a time when there had to be a big reformation where they were like, okay, you guys, you can't have
got to clean up your
big
act.
Bonfires and people dancing around them and that's
which
not.
I absolutely love.
This is bonfire season.
Is bonfire. What's the date?
I don't remember.
It goes 24th, 25th, and 29th. St. John? Is it St. John?
I'll have to look it up, but we never knew about it because around here they don't do those.
No, they don't do the
bonfires.
But we should. We're gonna do that one year. We're gonna have a big party and have the bonfire.
Because we were in Donegal one year and we were driving around and there were bonfires all over the hillside.
Yeah, it was gorgeous.
We didn't even know about it and we were like, what's
going on?
What's
with all the fires?
And so we stopped at one and these people were like, come on, and we were standing around their bonfire and they're talking and everything. And they said, oh yeah, it's something we do up here. They said here in Cork, they heard that it was popular as well.
Yeah.
The woman was great though, because she said, oh, it's wonderful. Once it gets dark, we bring out all the linoleum and carpets
all the
and
rubbish,
whatever.
the stuff that you're not allowed to burn. They have. That's what they do. Once it gets dark, they bring out all the rubbish.
So
and we could have a huge bonfire here. Let me tell you, I can. There's a lot of stuff I could burn.
So
I've got a mattress. Does anybody want an old mattress? I got to get rid of this damn mattress.
Oh yeah, we got to figure out what to do with that.
Well, it's gonna happen. It's gonna turn into a bonfire pretty soon if we don't find a place for it.
Well, not on a day like today.
Today's the perfect day to burn it.
Not until it starts raining. Well, how about I show you guys some video from the thing and hopefully
from the thing. What's the thing?
The cruise.
The trip. The cruise.
I'm short on words today.
Jack Sparrow, very limited vocabulary.
I'm trying not to keep using pirate talk, which we didn't do that very much, did we?
What, pirate talk?
Yeah.
No, I know.
How mature
I was too busy going through the bridges and the locks.
I bet if we weren't driving, we would have been playing pirate and.
I don't think we had one R on the boat.
Not at all. Huh.
Well, that's going to change next year.
We'll see you guys all very soon.